But car shopping should feel exciting, not confusing, and with CarGurus, you get the confidence you deserve. They cut through all the noise so you can actually see the best deals on the cars you want, because when it comes to a big purchase, you deserve the best deal. And CarGurus makes the whole process simple by giving you real information, real deal ratings, and more listings than anybody else, so you can shop the way you want. CarGurus connects you with trusted dealerships for a transparent and hassle-free buying process. With over 4 million listings of most of the major online automotive marketplace, you'll always find the best deal. Shop the way you want with the tools, data, and unbiased deal ratings that make it easy. Buy or sell your car today at CarGurus.com. That's CarGurus.com. CarGurus.com. All right, guys, let it rip. Get into everything you want to with Shedeur's performance in this game.
I do think on the EPA number as to whether or not it's valid, I think it's a fairly new stat that has really been highlighted recently because the quarterback position entails so much that it really is hard to judge them. That's why I asked what's your favorite stat. Yeah. I asked 5 different people that last week. I got 4 different answers.
Yeah, of course.
Only one duplicated touchdown to interception ratio as the most important.
I just don't see how that could be.
Well, the other people said yardage. Other people said completion percentage.
You don't even have to use EP. Like, there are no numbers around where Shedeur shines. They're not. Yards, you can give him yards. He had the 300-yard game against Tennessee. He leads the team in passing. You can give him yards. But if you dig down in any of the metrics, there are.
What about deep ball accuracy?
There are very few numbers. There are very few numbers to support that he has played well. That's just the reality of it. You don't have to like it. You don't have to agree with it. You can say differently. That's what the numbers say. 4th downs, they are atrocious. They're atrocious. Yeah. I think I had it there somewhere.
My only concern, Jason, and I tend to lean, even though I don't know them as well, I tend to lean towards the analytics and stats like EPA being more meaningful than traditional stats.
4th downs, they lose 3.3 yards per play.
But Jason, here's what I don't understand.
Yes.
Is the team, how much is the quality of the talent around you factored into that? Do you know?
As the quarterback, you're supposed to elevate the talent around you.
I know that, but there's just so much you can do. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, this is ridiculous.
And again, but it's not.
It's ridiculous because everybody who knows and has ever seen the game of football understands it is a team game.
Then why do people all over that building shake their head and say, no, he's not the guy?
Well, listen,
why?
There's a lot of people in that building ain't going to be here coming the end of the week. All
right, find me people in the NFL who think he's the guy.
That's the point. Listen, the same way that we talk about it. We can sit here and talk about this. And let me give you this about how many people in the building was saying something. When was the people in the building right? People have been writing stuff about the building all year. They told us Dylan Gabriel was the dude. They told us Flacco was the answer. They told us Kenny Pickett was the dude. And why did you trade Kenny? They've been telling y'all stuff every single day, and they ain't been right about not one of it. Can we all agree with that? They say, hey, Kevin's offense is ready to go. Then he gave the playbook over 2 years in a row. So the people that been telling y'all stuff, they ain't been hitting on no lottery tickets.
It's a bad football team.
There we go. You just said it. It's a bad football team, and a rookie quarterback in his 5th start cannot elevate a bad football team.
Why not?
You're going to elevate the worst line in the game?
He holds the ball longer than almost any. Yesterday was his best game at getting the ball out. So he did great at getting the ball out.
Because everything was quick.
Let's go to the PFF. Let's go. If we want to use stats, you would agree that the Browns have the worst offensive line in the league, right?
I'm not arguing that they don't have a bad line. He's had plenty of opportunities to get the ball out, and he doesn't do it. He has the rush coming right at him, and he doesn't get the ball out.
Is that a pre-snap thing?
Part of it is.
Because this was, again, before the game, someone told me Saturday, after they broke down a lot of his tape, that one of the areas that he thinks the Browns coaching staff needs to focus on with him is pre-snap read and making sure he picks up who's coming and who isn't. Their quote, not mine, he hasn't been good at that.
He doesn't know when he's hot, is how it's been described.
Well, that essentially was what that answer was.
He doesn't like flipping protections, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything because Flacco didn't flip protections either when he was here, but Joe knew when he was hot.
Yeah.
Shedeur hasn't figured that out.
And Joe been in the league how many years? 30?
But he knew when he was hot. He knew where it was coming from.
Here's what I'm going to say. Everybody be breaking it down. Somebody give me some KT Livingston breakdown.
Oh, I know.
I don't know the grade. He's awful.
No one is going to dispute
awful.
with you that it's a good offensive line.
But
no
what-
one's going to say that.
Is the time to throw out yet? Probably not.
No, it was out right away. He had a great time to throw yesterday. It was coming out fast for the most part. There was times where he held it, but for the most part, it was his fastest release of the season.
And you could tell, we talked about this on Friday, I believe. Reese's comments to the media during the week were very directive. I had said before the game, everything's going to be quick, very short passes. He's not going to throw the ball downfield. Reese told us as much. Reese said, we need to work on that out of your hand, short stuff, and that's what he did.
I mean, his ADOT was less than a yard most of the game, but a lot of that was also the way that the Bills defend. That's sort of how they make you play.
Yeah.
So I'm not killing him for that. I haven't knocked him for
And
that.
I thought in that parameter, he did a good job of getting the ball out of his hand and getting it
I
to
agree.
receivers. He had a high completion percentage.
In the first half, for the most part, they stayed on schedule, in part because of the short, quick passing game.
Right.
And they were able to run the ball more effectively than they have.
He barely
most of
threw the
year.
ball in the second half. The offense didn't have the ball.
Well, they found the run game.
You had
though.
2 opportunities at the end of the game to go win the game. You had 2 possessions at the end of the game to go win the game, and they lost 16 yards. And got to have at moments.
Here's
They
what
didn't have it.
here's what I'll give you with this, so we can get the overall critique. Every time I be breaking down film, I tell people, hey, in those certain circumstances, when he was running, and well, first of all, Russo just destroyed. Right, that's a whole other thing. But understand this: I do think that is on a quarterback that you have to have a timing, a mechanism to say, okay, here's the play. I know I ain't going to get no time on this. They may be bringing somebody, and I need to get this football off, and I can't get sacked on a 4th down. That I talked about that in a post-game show, and I talked about that multiple times in other games. There are times where I'm like, okay, let's see if you can go ahead and get to where you need to go. Give yourself an opportunity. I think on that play, Jerry Jeudy was coming open. He was kind of blanketed a little bit, but I need you to get that off to him a little bit. There's a lot of different things that I think he needs to work on. He's not a perfect prospect by any stretch of the imagination. But what I'm talking about in an evaluation is when you are evaluating a quarterback on a bad team, you have to take what you can and extrapolate and say, can I get better with this guy? Can this guy get better? Does he show me the tools and traits, whether it's his acumen throwing the football, or does his team rally around him, that I could say with improvements here, and here, and a new play caller and what we want to do, can he be successful? To me, he has the basic traits to become a good starting quarterback in the league. Now, it's up to him to continue to progress, but I think it's undeniable that you've seen from the first game against the Baltimore Ravens, where he looked like he is completely lost, to where we are today, to be losing. And if they kick a field goal, that's a 23-23 game against one of the best teams in the league. That's a Super Bowl contender. I think that's progress. The question is, do the Browns think that's progress?
I think that one of the problems with this is, and this happens with young quarterbacks, sometimes their highs and lows are very, very erratic. If there was steady progression week to week, I think I'm going to listen more to that. But last week against the Bears, he had his worst game.
Yeah, but when is there ever steady progression?
No, I know, but you'd like to see, you don't want there to be such gaps between your ceiling and your floor. You'd like there to be, even if it was mediocre play, you'd like there to be a consistency in play, and perhaps 1 week at a time you add something to your repertoire. You learn something about protections or whatever. And so he's just been all over the 2 preseason games he played. He was joop. And then, he plays a good game in which he loses to the Titans, and then he bounces back and looks awful against the Bears. So it's tough to really. I had said at the beginning of the season, you drafted 2 quarterbacks that you're going to look at. The problem is it's going to be very difficult to evaluate what you have. And I still think that, yes, I think a great quarterback is going to elevate the talent around him. You had said that you thought if Josh Allen was with this team, we'd be a playoff team.
Yes.
So if that's what
likely.
great quarterbacks can do, they can elevate crap talent around them and bring them up to that level. I would expect to see some of that. What's his record, win-loss in starts, Shedeur?
He's got 1 win.
1-4?
I think that's unfair to put that on him. I don't think any rookie in this situation, or most rookies in this situation,
if the Browns
would not have success, wins and losses.
If the Browns were going to
that's the problem.
If the Browns were going to be
know.
drafting 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 this year, it's a different conversation. With where they're at, I don't see how you don't take a quarterback.
And they're
I don't see
3
how you
currently,
don't.
but the Raiders and Giants play
We
one
have
another,
25
right?
years of history of trying to do it the hard way, and they haven't been able to do it.
Actually, to be truthful,
That's a jarring stat.
I'm gonna be honest with you. As I look at this roster, and we'll get to Quinshawn Judkins here in a second. To me, even with that injury, that puts you further behind the 8 ball. Because the people say, "Oh, he'll be back in time." Listen, let me just tell you about injuries. I know a couple things about him. He got injured at the end of the year. He has to go through rehab. He has to get through everything.
Save that because we're going to talk about Judkins.
okay.
Real quick,
Yeah.
why?
But let me finish this.
Yeah.
So you got Judkins. He's missing. So now what you're asking is if you potentially want to go get a quarterback, you're going to get a quarterback, and the roster around the quarterback with the picks you have will be worse than the roster that people are struggling in today.
Why would it be worse?
Okay, so one of your assets that
Yeah.
you're going to take that you could get a lineman or receiver will be used on a quarterback.
Right.
Quinshawn Judkins, we do not know if he's going to even be ready for camp or if you're going to be able to lean on him.
Right, but you'll have 2 other picks in the top 35.
So you'll have 2 other picks in the top 35.
Yeah.
But guess what? We've done this year. We used 2 picks on quarterbacks this year where we could have used them linemen. So now we're going to go again and get another quarterback when we could be using that as a premium position to help now.
There is no more premium position than quarterback, and you can't equate taking a quarterback in the 3rd and the 5th round to taking a quarterback 2 overall. There's no reason you can't take a quarterback and address the other needs if you don't need to bundle those other picks to move up because you're already going to be
You're
there.
not going to fill every need in one off season.
Of course
but
not.
you weren't going to do that anyway, even if you drafted
But
a wide receiver.
it's a different that's why I said if you're at 8, 9, 10, 11 and you have to bundle all of these picks to move up
Yeah.
to take
Yeah,
a
that's a
quarterback.
no-brainer. You don't
but
do
when
it.
you're already there and you can still keep the other assets to address the other needs that we all agree on are there,
Yeah.
it's a no-brainer to me. They have to take a quarterback.
Man,
if you're at 1 or 2, you have to
I
take
feel
a
more and
quarterback.
more like they will.
I just don't see it that way. I keep seeing you to go back.
find out.
You know
we'll
what's
see.
interesting is Shedeur Sanders has a lot to say about it. Go out and beat Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. You're not drafting a quarterback then because you can't, because you're not 3rd in the order anymore.
Right.
Then you do have to have the conversation of is it worth bundling these assets?
Right.
And if you believe
Right.
in those quarterbacks, by
Then
the
you
way,
do it.
the answer is yes.
But if you don't believe that either of those,
If you're not sure.
if you're not sure, you definitely don't reach.
now we're
Don't
having
reach.
the same conversations
Yeah.
that we had last year.
Yeah,
When you had
I
the
mean-
2nd pick and a 1 quarterback.
I think
Yeah.
it's going to be fascinating. It's going to be obviously a topic of conversation.
We almost have to root for
the whole time.
Baltimore on Saturday
to win.
So
Pittsburgh has something to
Pittsburgh
play
has
for.
to play their starters.
I'm so
the game
You
is
say you
meaningful.
want the Browns to lose.
I am so sick
Well,
of
at
having,
this point, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Like,
yeah,
at this
like
point,
that's what I was gonna say. I'm
What
so
does a win
sick
do for
of
you?
watching draft orders in December rather than playoff standings.
Listen,
I'm so tired of it.
I am too.
And
I mean, it's been my whole life.
And if you keep resetting it and you keep resetting it and you don't get no pieces and parts and we run around here talk about quarterback every single year, we have to address the things we need to get done up front and receivers and playmakers, or you're going to have another
you
person.
can still address those things.
But here's what I'm saying. You
Yeah.
do agree we are not naive to understand that the best talent is at the top of the draft.
right,
Of course.
and that's usually
And
where
you know
get
what?
The, best quarterbacks.
The Browns had a terrific offensive line with Joe Thomas and Joel Bitonio and Alex Mack if
Yeah.
he was here.
And
Whoever,
a
whatever.
great running back.
Wyatt Teller. What did it get them? Because
not
they
much.
didn't
Nothing.
have
Not
the
much.
quarterback.
We're
If
not,
you-
yes,
let's
quarterback
do
is
this.
important.
Want to do grades, Ant, and then move on? Is that
Yeah,
what you said?
I want to go around and get everybody's final grades on this performance for Shedeur
Okay.
before we move on.
Bull, you want to start?
B minus.
C minus.
B minus.
C minus as well. I think the thing that, I think it was playing within structure. He played the game plan that they asked him to play, which is a little bit restrictive. But when the ball is snapped, there's creativity and liberty that the quarterback has to make a different play other than what was called. And he just didn't do that. And to your point, I felt like the Browns were going to win that game. I really did.
I never thought they were going to win the game.
I felt
never
like they
thought
were
I
going
did.
to.
I felt like the
when
Bills
they were
were
lining
toying
up
with
for that
them.
field goal. I
Yeah.
thought, wow, now all the pressure's on Buffalo, and all we need is a field goal.
It felt to me like the Bills were just half there and toying with them.
I
all
did get that impression
Which
too.
is
but
kind
for
of
me,
alarming from Buffalo's standpoint. That's alarming
I
that
think
you're in
what I
December and
think
playing
if,
that way.
if they can extrapolate anything out of, again, this isn't is Shedeur a starting quarterback question. It is Shedeur Does he have the potential to be a top 10 quarterback? Because that's what we're looking for.
Yes.
And if he isn't it, or if Dylan Gabriel isn't it, or the next guy we draft isn't it, then you keep moving until you find the guy that is. And he had chances to win that game yesterday. And in all of those situations, not only did he not make a play, he moved us the wrong direction.
By the way, I initially, a first watch, actually had him up as a B, and then I watched the game again, and I lowered to a C+, and then I eventually ended up on a B- because I thought he was very effective running the ball.
He was.
He was really effective running the ball. So
Much better runner than anyone
So that's
thought.
how I ended up in a B-.
I like his escapability, knowing when to run.
If you said C+, I wouldn't be mad at you. I mean, I said this, but I just think this needs to be taken into account. Again, we just saw the guy who we love, right, against the team, and we got to give credit where credit is due. Either we're going to say that Josh Allen is Superman, and the Bills
Look at what Josh Allen has accomplished in his career. You can't compare him.
But Josh Allen didn't play a good game, though, G.
But what I'm saying, though, is
Yeah.
Thank you. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah. Who said Josh Allen played well? Nobody said it.
No quarterback is going to play well every game. As Jay said, I would like to see progression linearly every game.
But it doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen.
Right.
Game back, and you said, why you bring up Jackson Dart? Because Jackson Dart has shown me something this year where he can run the ball. I think he has a good arm. He's shown me tools and traits that I say, I could get with that. I understand you on a bad Giants team that's going to draft high, but I like what you did right there. The thing is, you're not going to have games where you're up like this and you're going to elevate everybody and you're with one of the worst teams in the league and you don't have weapons. So my thing is, hey, I'm going to give them credit for playing one of the best teams that I got them going to the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
They lost by 3 points. And if they don't botch the snap, it's 23-23.
I have questions about I had the Bills to the Super Bowl too. That defense yesterday looked not good at all.
The first drive,
I don't like
right.
to judge teams on one game.
And I know that we talked about
had problems.
And this is on the agenda for later too. But and I don't know how to explain this, but our run game came to life with our backups yesterday. Like our run game, those scoring drives in the second half,
They ran it very well.
They were all runs. We just decided we're going to run the ball down your throat. And it was the first time all year long that I watched anyone other than Judkins consistently move the football down the field. Those guys looked like world beaters yesterday.